Guess what? It's Monday. Happy Monday. That means it's time for another top 25 ranking video right here on YouTube. Are you excited? Well, let's get right to it. Hey, good morning, it's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right, it's me, Uncle Lou. And I'm live for you on YouTube today. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it also. And in addition to that as well, hey, subscribe to this channel if you're not already. Did you know I post college football videos almost every single day of the year? It's true. Some of them are even watchable. People like this ranking video because they get to complain about where I rank teams. Be sure and let me know in the comment section down below which teams I have wrong and where they should be ranked. Let's go. All right, I got some good news for you in today's video. Nothing changed from last week. Here's my top 10 this week. Why go through it one by one, 10 through 1, like I normally do, revealing one team at a time? When nothing changed, everybody in my top 10 last week either won or didn't play, and I just left it exactly the same. I did consider a few changes, so I'll talk about that instead of kind of talking about where I have the teams ranked, but I've got Oklahoma at number 10. I considered putting Miami there. They played Duke, I know, but it was an impressive win, 45-0. It's the first time Miami has shut somebody out on the road, I think, since the early 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. And anytime you play a team, good or bad, you have to watch even though Duke is bad, if you watch the Miami game, Miami played good. Both things can be true. Duke can be really bad, and you could also watch the game and say, wow, Miami played pretty good. I think that was the most complete game Miami has played all year. To me, it doesn't matter that Duke is bad. So I did consider moving Miami up to number 10, but Oklahoma beat Baylor 27-14. They've kind of been on a roll too. They've got a chance to play in their conference championship game. Miami doesn't. So I just kind of sort of decided to leave it as is. I have a feeling Miami is probably going to finish in the top 10 if they beat North Carolina this coming week. That will be a good win against a good team. Duke, that's a good win against a bad team. And like I said, that still counts. When you play a bad team, all you can do is go out there and whip them. And that's what Miami did. So this is no hate for Miami. I really considered moving Miami up to 10 here. If you want to have Miami 10B, fine. But I've got Oklahoma at 10. They won against Baylor 27-14. They play on the road at West Virginia, a makeup game this coming week. UJ was on a bye this last week because Vanderbilt canceled the game. Not enough players, whether it was due to coronavirus or players quitting the team because of a first Power 5 female player, whatever this individual here, you know the deal by now. But they do play this week on the road at Mizzou, and the Vandy game has been rescheduled for the following week. I doubt that Vandy game will be played, but we'll see. Vandy's supposed to play Tennessee this weekend. I doubt that game gets played either. I don't think Vandy's looking to play any more games this year. We'll find out. But I left Georgia at 9. I left Indiana at 8. They beat Wisconsin 14-6. Boring game. Very boring game. But Indiana's starting quarterback went down before this game with a torn ACL. He was out. So they had to play this game with a backup, and they still beat a pretty good Wisconsin team 14-6. I know Wisconsin's got a couple of losses now. I still think Wisconsin is a pretty good team. This was a good win, especially considering the fact you had a backup quarterback making his first start. So I decided to leave them where they're at. They host Purdue this coming weekend. Cincinnati didn't play either. They play at Tulsa this coming weekend. And Tulsa's a pretty good team who does have the ability to beat Cincinnati. This is a huge game for Cincinnati. You've got Cincinnati and Coastal Carolina now as the two group of 5 teams who have the best opportunity to make it to a New Year's 6 bowl. Whoever finished higher between those two is most likely going to a New Year's 6 bowl. Cincinnati's higher right now, no matter who you ask. Coastal Carolina, of course, huge win this past weekend against BYU, knocking BYU out and vaulting Coastal Carolina into the top 15 and into the top 10, I think, in either the AP or the coaches. I don't remember. Those polls are pointless and ridiculous. The Uncle Lou poll, Uncle Lou ranking, only one that matters. You don't even have to watch the playoff thing tonight. It's just a waste of time. This is the most accurate poll on planet Earth. But I left Cincinnati at 10, 9, 8, 7. They play at Tulsa. They got to win. Coastal Carolina's sitting there. One of those two teams going to the New Year's 6. I think Cincinnati's the better team, but we'll see how it plays out. Florida, I left at 6, 31-19 over Tennessee. This was a more dominating win than the score indicated. similar to the Georgia game in that way. Florida dominated Georgia more than what showed up on the scoreboard at the end of the game. Tennessee scored 2 touchdowns late in the fourth quarter of this game against Florida's walk-on defense. I'm not trying to take anything away from Tennessee or JT Shrout, their quarterback who led those 2 touchdown drives. He made some good throws, but it is what it is. This game was 31-7 in the fourth quarter before Tennessee scored those 2 sort of garbage touchdowns. Florida dominated this game. They got LSU coming up this weekend, and then, of course, the SEC championship game against Alabama. Doesn't matter where Florida's ranked. If they win their next 2 games, they're going to be in the top 4 and go to the playoffs. If they don't win their next 2 games, they won't be in the top 4 and they won't go to the playoffs. It's just that simple. Doesn't matter where I have them ranked or anyone else. They went out. They're in the playoffs, period. They got to win their next 2 games. Texas A&M, more complicated story for Texas A&M. They beat Auburn 31-20. They host Ole Miss this coming weekend. Texas A&M has been 5 for a while now in these rankings, in these polls. Of course, they're not going to make it to the SEC title game. Their 1 loss is to Alabama. No way for them to get in now. Alabama has clinched it. Going to be hard to keep Texas A&M out, though, I think, if they're sitting there at the end of the season at 9-1 and their only loss is to an undefeated Alabama. That, of course, is assuming Alabama beats Florida in the SEC title game, which I think Texas A&M needs to happen. I think Texas A&M needs Alabama to win that game. Then they got to hope maybe Ohio State or somebody like that doesn't get in for some particular reason or another, whether it's a loss or whether they don't, whether the playoff committee doesn't put them in because they don't play enough games, whatever. They would need something else to happen. But I've got them still at number 5. Clemson still at number 4, beat Virginia Tech 45-10. You're going to see a theme in these top 4 teams and their games from this past weekend. Let's just run through them. Clemson beat Virginia Tech 45-10. Ohio State beat Michigan State 52-12. Notre Dame beat Syracuse 45-21, and Alabama beat LSU 55-17. Great football teams play their best football at the end of the year. You have to. If you want to go on a run and win the national title, you've got to be at your best at the end of the year. Look at these top 4. All 4 blew their opponent out this weekend. You can say whatever you want about their opponents. Tell me LSU is terrible. Tell me Syracuse is terrible. Tell me Michigan State is terrible. Tell me Virginia Tech is terrible. I'm not going to argue with you, but look at these scores. All 4 of these teams are playing at an extremely high level. You don't have to watch these teams play another elite team to tell whether or not they're any good. All 4 of these teams are clearly great teams. I think these are the best 4 teams. I really do. Are these going to be the 4 playoff teams? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Texas A&M is sitting there on the outside looking in. They need one of those 4 teams to get knocked out some kind of way. Like I said, either Ohio State loses or doesn't get in because they don't play enough games. Maybe Notre Dame beats Clemson a second time. That would eliminate Clemson. They need something to happen ahead of them. We'll see. Clemson has a bye this week before the ACC title game against Notre Dame. So Notre Dame also has a bye this week. Ohio State plays Michigan this coming week. They host Michigan. I think they're a 30-point favorite. I think it's the biggest spread in that game's history. Unbelievable. And Bama plays their final game of the regular season on the road at Arkansas. Last week of the regular season, and we got conference championship games the weekend after that. But unlike most seasons, we have a bunch of other games that weekend too. Normally on conference championship Saturday, those are the only games we have this year because of coronavirus and weird schedules. Even if you're not in the conference championship game, chances are you're going to be playing on December 19th. So we'll get to see a lot of football on that day. But there you go. That's the top 10. I think my top 4 is the best 4 teams in all of football. I think Texas A&M and Florida also have a shot of getting into the playoffs. Florida, if they win out, they're in. Texas A&M needs somebody ahead of them to lose. That's their only way in, and it probably needs to not be Alabama. I think Alabama could lose a close game to Florida in the SEC title, and Florida and Bama would both probably get in. I don't know. We'll see. It depends what happens, obviously, with Clemson and Notre Dame and what the playoff committee decides to do with Ohio State if for some reason they're sitting there without a Big Ten title or they just don't think they played enough games. As usual, I put 11 through 25 up on the screen at the end of the video, so you can look at that too. Like I mentioned, I had Miami at 11. I'll put the rest of my top 25 up right now. Appreciate you guys watching. Have a good morning.
You big dummy.